Hey all, welcome back. Today I'm here with Jason Hanson at OBX Mortgage. Thank you for joining us. So today we're going to cover some really interesting topics that everyone should need to know if you're considering buying a home here on the Outer Banks. And that is the pre-approval process, the once you're under contract, what that's going to look like, and then just second home versus investment. They are two different things, and sometimes people use them interchangeably. So Jason, welcome and thank you for coming, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
So if you, what is the first thing that you do? I send you over a client and they have not been pre-approved and they want to start shopping for a home. So what can they expect once they start talking to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I meet a client, the first thing we do is discuss their goals, what they want to accomplish. A lot of times with purchasing property on the Outer Banks, we're looking at an investment home, so they want the house to potentially pay for itself or at least supplement the mortgage. We talk about what the interests are, then we get into what the process is. So we talk about the pre-approval process, then what happens when we are placing offers, updating pre-approval letters, going under contract, getting through underwriting, appraisal, all the aspects that go into the loan process.
So tell me, Jason, what is the pre-approval process?
Pretty quick process. It consists of about a 15-minute phone call where we discuss income, assets, liabilities. We're going to pull credit, and then we're going to see what property price point we can afford. So we're going to calculate debt to income. Then I'm going to request any supporting documentation that I need. So that may be pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements, copy of your driver's license, documents like that. That way I can package it all up into a pretty bow and issue a letter for the max purchase price that you can afford. Or if you've already identified a property, we're just going to put that address and what purchase price you want to go in on. And that way you're ready to go if another property comes up and you want an updated pre-approval letter.
That's perfect. So on my side, the real estate side, and let me just explain why the pre-approval process is so important, is some real estate agents will not let you in their houses unless you've been pre-approved because they don't want just anyone going through. And if you make an offer, before they accept your offer, they actually want to know you qualify. So they're not, if it's a multiple offer situation, so they don't go with someone else's offer and they go with yours. They want to make sure that you are solid. So those are the reasons why you should get pre-qualified. And
Definitely.
So you don't get your heart set on something that maybe you can't afford at the time.
Yes, and you want to get pre-approved early. That way, if you're looking at houses and the perfect one comes up, and maybe there's multiple offers in, and you don't want to wait for me to have to review all your documents before I can get you a letter. You just call me after you're pre-approved and say, hey Jason, we're going to update for this address at this price point. Can you get me a new pre-approval letter? And I'm just going to send it right out.
So they get their pre-qual letter and we get them under contract. What does that look like from under contract to close? Walk us through that.
Great, yeah. So once we identify a property, we already know we're pre-approved and we're looking at a certain price point that the borrower is approved for. We're going to update the pre-approval letter to be tied to that specific property and purchase price. Then once we go under contract, we're going to submit the loan to underwriting. That means we've already gathered up all the docs we need to know that you are pre-approved for this loan. We send it to the lender for underwriting. Once the underwriters review, we get what's called conditionally approved. That means we've looked at the docs, you can afford the house, you can afford the mortgage, and then we order the appraisal, and that usually gets done within the first couple weeks. And once we're conditionally approved, we also request any additional documentation that we need.
So give us an example of what additional documentation may you need.
So it could be tax returns. Let's say you filed an extension in 2022, so we need the extension documents. We may need to source large deposits. So if you have a large deposit in your bank statement, whether you were moving money around, the lender will want to see where that money came from. So we may need additional bank statements, things like that.
Okay. So here are we always get pushback, or I shouldn't say always, we get pushback sometimes from promoting our local lenders. And first of all, we love you guys, but there is a reason why we should always use local lenders in whatever market you're in. And why don't we talk about that? So why do we promote local lenders?
So the reason why we go with a local lender is because the Outer Banks has some very unique situations. So whether it be certain addendums we use, like a vacation rental addendum or a bill of sale, those are typically tied to investment products. Many lenders are not used to seeing those addendums and may disqualify you from the loan because those addendums exist with the contract. Whereas I vet all of my lenders to accept these documents, and so the loan will go through. Additionally, homeowners insurance is unique here. So not only do we have your fire, but we also have wind and hail and flood insurance. Many lenders aren't used to seeing those policies and don't know how to deal with them. So it can take a much longer time to get a loan approved with a lender that doesn't know what they're looking at for those documents, or it could simply disqualify you from the loan because they don't understand what they're looking at.
And we have had those horror stories.
Yes.
Okay, so once everything is, let's go back in. So once you get all your docs and everything, we are going towards closing, and that's...
Right, yeah. So after conditional approval, then we satisfy the remaining conditions that are needed. We get the appraisal, you get your homeowner's insurance, then we get title work from the attorney, and then the lender will issue clear to close. That means we are ready to go. We can close any day. We send out what's called the initial CD, that's the initial closing disclosure. There's a TRID waiting guideline. Basically, you have to wait 3 days from the initial CD to closing. So we always get the initial CD out at least 3 days before closing. Then on closing day, the lender will wire the funds to the attorney. You'll sign all the paperwork and the attorney will disperse the funds.